we'll go through that. As a reminder, guys, and I've put that slide for new parents, and obviously you're a part of this. So first of all, this is a running deck I was talking about, right? You can click through it, and you will see all of the updates from the past. But in the very beginning, I've put this slide together so that you could click on the links. So very important introductory videos from Lance Wells, from Dan. These are two leaders. They lead two major labs working on OGTX ID. Lance is from United States, Dan is from Europe, Denmark, and they're both caring a lot about our kids and the condition we're dealing with. So that's first piece. The second piece is the conference. There you will just see all other speakers, also very important part. Rare Boot Camp. Me and my wife Irina visited this boot camp earlier this year, and it provides a very robust overview of what it means to develop a drug for a rare disease. And it basically puts together a picture for parents like us on what are the building blocks, what are we dealing with, what is natural history study, what is animal models, what is cell lines, and things like that, and what we need to do in step A, step two, step B. There was no like one overview of a roadmap, but we've put that together, and down in this deck you will see the roadmap, basically what needs to be done to get to treatment, right? So feel free to look through that, ask questions if you have those questions to me or to the community, and we'll or like post them in the group, and we'll help jump in. I've shared the materials credentials, username and password. Just follow that, and you'll be able to access all those materials. Cool. Right. So usually, again, as I mentioned, the agenda is bigger. This time, we have in total 11 families, including yours. That's plus one since last update, and 14 patients, including yours. So we're growing. In total, there is around like 80 patients documented by both of the labs. But these are the families and patients who we have contact with. Like you, they join the calls, they're active, and they can participate in any activities that we may need. Cool. Then basically over to you guys. You've registered with this information. I just put it here on the slide, but I just wanted, yeah, we usually just hear from you about George, and we will chime in to share our stories and how it resonates with what we're experiencing. I think for Miranda, it's going to be even for you, it's going to be more relevant what Miranda will share, because she has a boy, Kellen, and because boys and girls can be slightly different. But yeah, over to you guys. Let me stop sharing, because it's better to just like see you.
I mean, my son's name's Kellen. He was diagnosed also around 2.5. He was diagnosed around 2.5, but we started therapy and stuff around 10 months. He wasn't sitting up, so he stopped meeting milestones around that time. He probably wasn't meeting milestones before, and I didn't notice because he wasn't rolling over that well either. But he was diagnosed with hypotonia first, and then it was right in the middle of COVID, so it took about 8 months for us to get in with neurology, and then about probably like 8 months after that to get results back. And then I have a child that passed away from cancer previously, and that was helpful because I knew about Facebook groups. So I was like, okay, well, parents helped me before. Parents too tend to know more. I don't know why, but it's just like everybody's seeing different doctors and they have different things they're doing. So it's helpful. But so I found the CDG group after Kellen's diagnosis, and then someone introduced me to Dr. Morava, and then there was one other patient that was in the CDG group, and then Dr. Morava knew of a couple more patients. And then she's been awesome. She's an amazing doctor.
And Miranda, where do you live?
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Josh, you want to tell George's story, or do you want me to?
No, I mean, I'll give it a shot. So George was born 4 weeks early, and kind of right from the start. For a second day he was home, he was admitted. We're low body temperature, hypotonia, the works. And so for the first 3 months, it was basically a revolving door with us at Children's Hospital. And that about 3 months in, we were there, and the genetic team stopped up because they were just like, we don't really have a good explanation for what's going on and why he's so developmentally so small and not really doing much of anything. So they ran a full genetic sequencing. And he was about 3 months old when we first got this, when this first got flagged as a potential issue. Because he was so small, there wasn't really much that we could do sorry, that's my partner, Breezy. Say hi.
Hi.
Yeah. And so as we were kind of continuing to get him some supportive care, we had this flagged, but because it was an N of 1, the genetic doctor who we worked with up at Children's Hospital, Colorado, was saying that there's not much we can really do about it. He suggested that we could go get Annie's brother tested just to see if this was just kind of an N of 1, or if this was just kind of floating out there in her family and it wasn't a big deal. Because there wasn't really much we could do about this, we kind of lagged on testing her brother. So it took a little while to kind of get results back. And then we got that tested. It seemed like it was unique to George in this scenario. We went through a few more rounds of genetic testing because they found a few more things that may or may not have been, symptomatic. Those have all come back negative. And so at this point, Dr. Larson, who's the geneticist we see, is kind of getting to a point where he's believing that the OGT variant is responsible for a lot of the manifestations, a lot of the symptoms. And so just trying to figure out how best to do that. Yeah.
Josh, yeah. Do you have just one mutation or multiple?
As far as we're aware, so I can send you the report. It looks like it's just the one.
Yeah, so he's got a couple different genetic mutations, but what essentially they did is by testing so they had us test my parents as well. So kind of the symptoms we're talking about are, again, I think I was not a hypochondriac by any means, but I think I spent the first 2 years of his life just getting told I was an anxious mom. When I didn't feel that way, I feel like my assessment skills are maybe a little extra because yes, I am a pediatric nurse, but that also means that I'm very used to both normal and abnormal. And I feel like I was this child is not a baby. It was like he didn't read the book on how to be a baby. So couldn't lift his head up at 4 months, which was way past the point. Even if we incorporated his gestational age into it, I was he's not lifting his head. He's not rolling. And to this day, he still has never cooed once in his entire life. He makes ass sounds, but we've never gotten another vowel out of him. So I've never once heard my child say, ooh. Something is off. He sounds like a billy goat is the way I would describe this noise where he goes
and so kind of our baseline, I guess, kind of why we're still continuing down the genetic path is he's 2.5, he's not walking and he's not talking.
Yeah.
And a lot of those kind of life skills, we've kind of pegged him around a year old. So the developmental delays, when he was a year old, we were saying he's he's like a 6-month-old. When he was a 1.5 years old, still like a 6-month-old. So as the gap has continued to widen, we've been a little bit more kind of, all right, this isn't going away. Let's identify the root cause of it and see if there's anything we can do. And if we can't, let's kind of let's do what we can to help understand this, just as we can kind of continue our family planning journey.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think because all of his stuff kind of started so young and we were like more in tune with it, I think he is our only for now, and we haven't tried to have a second just because honestly, we're kind of curious to see like what other families' experiences had been, what the genetic pass down had been. We like just finished all of our genetic testing and stuff. And so I'm not young, but I'm old. I'm like 36 and Josh is 35. And so I think we would love to expand our family. We were just trying to figure out like, we love our child to pieces, wouldn't trade him for the world, but I don't know that I'd want to do it again. And so we were just kind of like curious to see what other people's experiences had been like, curious to see what other kiddos' journeys had been like. And then like all things considered, just like, or sorry, you're also in this situation, but are very glad there's like a group of people to rely on who also have walked these shoes. So
yeah, because you reminded me of something. Kellen also was 4 weeks early, and he had issues at the very beginning, and then they kind of they never followed up with us. And then he wasn't meeting milestones later, but he had pulmonary hypertension, and we almost lost him when he was an infant.
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's talking better now, but at 2.5, he wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, no. We're hoping he seems to, I think the thing that's always been hard for us is he's never necessarily like plateaued and done nothing. We've definitely like, in like the words of the disability parenting community, like lived life in inch stones for sure. Nothing has been a leap. And I don't feel like, I think what I've always said to my mom is I was like, there's nothing he's ever taught himself, like in a way that babies just like figure out how to crawl, or like they just kind of figure out how to talk. What with just like normal everyday interactions, he has required intervention to figure out every single life skill he has, from eating to crawling to lifting his head. It has been hours of therapy to get him to those points. We were on like thickened liquids for a while because he was aspirating. And again, just like things that I think like I'm very grateful for my background, because I think that they were helpful in like knowing how to work the system to get what I needed. And then on top of this, he's also got eosinophilic esophagitis on top of it. So we are plugged in with GI and that whole thing where like allergies don't run on either side of our family. So that was kind of a new one as well. But yeah, so it's definitely, I've spent a lot more time at my institution where I work than I ever needed or wanted to, not getting paid, but I'm grateful that at least I can work the system for better or for worse. But yeah, it's been a journey. And I think we are getting to a place where like, he is getting more interactive. Like he didn't point until he was like 21, 22 months old. He just he like ended up with an autism diagnosis, but we don't really think he's all that autistic. It's more the autism diagnosis was to keep our services because America. And so I think more this is probably really the root of the underlying causes, but because they couldn't give him an official diagnosis, but like he's also delayed in everything. I think the autism piece of things was a way for us to like hang on to services in America, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, like I told the doctor, I was like, I don't care if you tell me he's the purple people eater. Like I just want to get help with whatever resources you have available. And so if it's that we need an extra diagnosis and to put an extra level on so that I can continue to get him help, like bring it on. I don't really give a shit where his level is at the end of the day. And so that's kind of where we're at right now on the journey, is trying to figure out, in Colorado, you age out of early intervention at 3. I don't know how it works in Georgia or Texas. But yeah, so we'll have more meetings just to figure out kind of like what next steps are and what developmental therapy preschool at this point would look like for him and all of those kinds of things. But that's a journey for a couple months down the road, and just trying to figure out what the heck this life that we have no idea how to navigate looks like. So
yeah,
we sound like you're navigating good.
We're doing the best we can. So
it's not easy. And a lot of the kids also, many of the kids have autism diagnosis as well, because it's just a diagnosis of symptoms. You can have both diagnoses. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'll actually I'll echo what you shared with Josh. Well, first about autism, that's the right thing to do, I think, because we also received it we received the spectrum, because without it, people just don't know how to treat your kid, and like it's you're not getting anything. So that's the right thing to do. That's really good that you get it, even though it's not autism. These kids usually are not autistic. They look you in the eyes. They're not focused on one thing. Like, I know that there are a lot of like symptoms of that, but these kids are usually not like that. But that's the way to get some support. That's one. Two, referring back to the fact that you want the second child. We didn't know about our diagnosis for a long time, Annie, and we kept struggling. And the doctors just kept saying that, "Don't worry, it's gonna be fine. She's just delayed. Don't worry. You're just exaggerating." Uh, and we didn't know that it's genetics. And in the age of 3, we received a report, and finally, it's like it was like we started to understand what's going on. But like before that, we've got our third child, Daniel. So we didn't know like that we have a genetics like condition with Victoria, and he turned out to be completely fine. And Victoria was IVF. So I don't know if maybe like if yours was natural, but ours was IVF. Maybe this contributed to this condition. We don't know. And our condition, our variant is de novo, meaning that none of us have it. It just originated suddenly in the cell, or something happened. So there's no recommendation for you guys, but I know that we have a researcher. Her name is Stephanie. She's an active part of the community, very active part of the community, and she specialized in I don't want to miss kind of a lead with what you specialize in, but it's associated with pregnancies and the OGT condition there. So you may want to reach out to her to just ask those questions, right? Obviously, everyone will tell you that, hey guys, we're not clinicians, we are not, so we're just getting used to this, and it's good to give them this opportunity, of course. But usually researchers are giving us a lot of information about our kids' condition and stuff. So Stephanie would be your point of contact if you have questions about like further opportunities.
Totally. Yeah. And for us, we know it was de novo in me. So it didn't come from my parents. Neither one of them were the ones responsible. My mom was on Clomid when she conceived me. And so she like has all this guilt, and like, it's not your fault. Do this on purpose. It's not like anything you did. But so I got passed down from me to George. And so with that in mind, our geneticist, so we're actually in the reverse direction. George was natural, but he had recommended potentially going the IVF route and then testing any embryos for the OGT stuff, given I carry it. And because it's X-linked, they think that we would probably have a successful girl more so than we would have. He would not recommend necessarily having another boy for us. And so, which is also just a lot to digest, that this is how this is going to go. But I think we've had like kind of a lot of time to digest that information. And now we just have to figure out like what makes sense for our family as far as like next steps and all that go. So
we did some genetics testing for our embryos, and it didn't show like anything, but I guess it's just a very different level of completeness, right? So now what we're doing is full genetic sequencing, but what they do in embryos is different. Miranda is sharing in chat. Miranda, yeah, it started with me and may not have come from my mom. The researchers I have talked to have suggested WGS testing because it tests more genes, and you don't need mom and dad to do the test. Yeah,
did both the whole exome sequencing and the whole genome sequencing. And like we have the ability where we could then test my parents, test my brother, test kind of my whole side of the family. I only have the one brother. And so that is kind of what landed us where we're at now, and how we found you guys is based on that whole 2-year-long process of kind of gathering all that was helpful.
So you're saying that they found it in you, right, Annie?
Yeah.
Okay. Annie carrier. Yeah, I see. And then his brother. Coming back to what you experienced with development, guys. uh, of those kids, they're severely delayed. They're nonverbal. They have hard time learning how to walk. They are not potty trained until very lately in their life. Again, not everyone is the same. We have, like, for example, a female, like a girl, who is just, I think she's a, I don't remember her age, but she's just kind of delayed by 1 year or something. So she just kind of like everyone is in like 10th grade and she's in 9th, something like that, you know. But the majority of the population is severely delayed. And indeed, you're right, Josh. The gap is increasing, and that's the reality that we all live in. The gap is increasing. We're watching this, so yeah. It's not much that we could do at this point, but just the sheer knowledge is very important.
And I think that's kind of where we're at. So I mean, like we looked at the studies and they'll show the tables where it's just like patient 1, patient 2, 3, 4, 5 goes through and shows all the symptoms, and it's just like mild ID, this, that, everything in between. And it's just like,
Yeah.
all right, like what does that mean on, like I understand what it means on the graph and from like a scientific study purpose, but like for a day-to-day, what does that look like? What do the parents look like? Like how do they interact with their children? What does life look like? What does quality of life look like? And like you're not going to find that in these studies, and so it's just nice to find a community where like I can have these conversations with you and Miranda and just be like, what does life look like as George continues to grow up?
Sorry. It's funny because Kellen's amazing. You know, he has been on his own track this whole time, and he's still on that same track that, yeah, it's delayed, but he's a really awesome kid. He's so funny. And that is one thing that Andre said earlier. What I have noticed with all the kids is they are very social and very sweet. And some have trouble talking. Most had trouble walking. We still don't know for sure where this came from or if it started with me, because we have not had my dad tested yet, and my brother refused to be tested. His wife wouldn't let him. So
Yeah.
But
So
they do have a daughter that was delayed talking as well. She didn't talk till she was 5.
with the life of parents, guys, it is extremely hard for all of us. So, for example, our daughter, she requires 24/7 adult being next to her, sitting, looking at her, and making sure that she's not doing something not good. She's destroying things. She doesn't know how to play. She cannot watch cartoons. You cannot give her an iPad, and she cannot focus on that. She's not interested in cartoons as a regular kid would. So that's a harsh reality. Only helpers can alleviate a little bit of like make our lives better. So how we do it, we arranged ABA therapy, which takes care of Victoria for like 6 or 8 hours a day. Then we have someone who's like a coming nanny who's sitting with her for another like 3-4 hours, and then we have our like a little bit of time with her as well. On weekends, of course, obviously we are there, but it's the time when we understand that we won't be able to have fun, like a ton of, I mean, like as the usual people do, right? Let's be honest here, right? You need to take care of Victoria first, because she needs your attention. You cannot use a phone with her, because in our case, she's just kind of demanding this phone, and she doesn't need this phone to watch anything. She just randomly clicks on something. The problem with these kids is that they don't have attention. Their attention span is very short. They cannot concentrate on one thing, and that is why they keep bored all the time, and they are bored with a regular kids toys. So that is why they will go and just throw things. Like they will just go to a drawer and just start picking up your stuff from there and just making mess. If you have time as a parent, that's totally fine. You can make her happy. But again, not everyone has a lot of time to just kind of walk after her like 24/7 and just clean up this mess. So that's a big challenge. In your age, we also had, and absolutely nightmare experience with sleep. She would just yell for like 3 hours each night before she goes to sleep, and sometimes she would wake up. She would need someone, and up until now she needs like someone sleeping next to her, so I'm sleeping with her, making sure like there's someone next to her. When she wakes up, she's not freaked out that nobody's around. And it was a huge nightmare before, because she was really crying before she goes to bed, like for 2-3 hours in a row she could cry. That was a nightmare for a parent. But something happened like a year ago, a year and a half maybe, and she started to go to bed normally. It came with a routine. When you're trying to go to a potty, you're trying to go to brushing her teeth, and like you're turning on this like like a calm music. We have like a music, turning off lights, and all of this routine helps her just get in the mode of, okay, I get it. I need to go to sleep. But even now, sometimes she refuses and she walks out. She wants to go and check out, hey, what everyone else is doing. So sleep is a known problem, especially in your age, guys. 2.5, it can be a big problem. I don't know what you would experience that there, but a lot of other parents are having really hard time with sleep.
Thankfully, it hasn't been as big an issue as it sounds like it has been for y'all. So I feel like for him, if we're able to get him down, he normally stays down. So I don't, thankfully that's been an area where he's kind of excelled for most of his life. And we're just going to keep our fingers crossed that it keeps going that way.
I see.
I would agree. I feel like sleep, we've had definitely periods where it's been like horrendous. Like we ended up medicating him a couple of months ago just because he like was waking up every hour on the hour and none of us were sleeping. But I feel like now we're in a good stretch. He's luckily been like a good napper always, but I feel like sleep is one area we've been lucky. It is interesting to hear you guys all say that all of your kids struggle in the walking department. So I feel like that's been one of the things that's been really frustrating for us, is the not walking. We just took him actually into the doctor's appointments yesterday. It's like, okay, you're 27 pounds and you weigh a lot. And so it's just interesting. Do either of your two little ones, do they walk at all now or no?
For me, Victoria walks just, I mean, she's wobbly. She has very kind of a, sorry, English is not my first language, so I'm sometimes, especially yesterday I came from a trip to Russia, so I forgot all the words. Yeah, we were there for 3 weeks with them. What's it called? Like light muscles, very light muscles. It's called, yeah, something tonia. Yeah, you know it better than I do.
Yeah.
And she was always wobbly, but now she's better. We thought that she would not start walking, but she started. So she walks, she runs, she does a balance bike even. So I'm kind of pushing her to do balance bike. I push her to swim. She's not swimming on her own, but I'm like holding her. So, and we invest like hours and hours and hours in all of that, of course, plus the ABA therapy, all of the therapies, they invest hours in all of this. So she's super trained in all of that. So it's a result of endless hours of therapy and money flowing into that. So yeah, Miranda, can you share a little bit about Kellen there?
Yeah, Kellen didn't walk until he did start walking at about 21 months, but they'd started therapy with him at 10. At 16 months, they put him in SMOs, and that helped a little bit. And then we started using it wasn't a walker, it's a gait trainer. And with the gait trainer, I kind of like would just take him to the playground so that he could see other kids walking. And then all of a sudden one day he just let go of the gait trainer and just walked over to where some stairs were. And I was like, oh my gosh, he did it. And then over time it got better and better. And he does run and he plays now. It's just, he's not safe at all. He's tried to jump in a fire pit. He, he scares me all the time. But he's still in therapy for everything, and he's also considered blind. He's been diagnosed with cortical visual impairment, so we don't know how much of his depth perception is causing some of the difficulty going up and down stairs. But he does it. He walks up the most dangerous stairs all the time with us yelling at him to stop. He does not stop.
Our little one seems to be making progress towards walking, but he will not freestand. He has this little toddler bike. It's not a balance bike. It's balanced for him, but he's finally gotten to the point where last week for the first time he can K-turn out of the corner. So it's clearly your brain is working on some level here. It's you just can't connect. He finally has strong enough ab muscles, but he can't connect the abs and the legs to work at the same time in order to go. So hopefully over here,
we use Theratox too. They're called Theratox.
Theratox.
And they give the missing signals from your spinal cord to your brain, which sometimes the kids do have that problem.
Mm-hmm.
But that did seem to help him as well when we were using them back then.
We'll have to look up what those are.
They're annoying, but your insurance most likely would cover them. They covered them for us.
Yeah. And we're applying for the CES waiver is what they call it in Colorado, where it's the Medicaid waiver that doesn't account for your salary kind of a thing too, to see if we can get some more therapies and stuff covered, just because our insurance isn't the best, which is silly because I work in healthcare, but one day at a time has been our motto for a while now. And that's just what we're trying to
Yeah. You may want to connect with Sarah and Steve Hill to discuss their walking abilities. So they have Zach. They live in England, and you may want to just talk with them because he has some issues with walking as well. So he's not mobile.
How old is
I think Zach right now, he's about 10-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 and a half or something. Yeah, Zach is 10 and a half, I think. So you may want to talk with them. And Sarah is also very active, so you may want to connect her. She's on the group.
Awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, guys, we absolutely hear everything, and we can relate to everything that you're sharing. And there are issues with seizures as well for some kids. Luckily, that hasn't been an issue for Victoria, but we've just been lucky, I guess. Seizures is a big thing as well for kids, and I know that Kellen had his first seizure recently, so Miranda was really struggling on what she needs to do. So yeah, but parents are occupied a lot with the kids. So we totally understand your struggles